right, welcome everyone to our episode of Real Estate Coffee Chat. Real Estate,
Real talk.
we got it. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is our YouTube channel where we bring people in. I'm Wendy Richardson, 18 years in the business. I just got my 5-year anniversary here at the wonderful
Yay.
Better Homes and Gardens, and I'm here with
Aaron Elam, and I have been an agent just hit a year, not too long ago. Yeah. And Wendy and I are doing this because, we realize a lot of people have a lot of questions when they're buying a new home, and we want to help them with those answers.
It's so true. We have had episodes, so please take a look at all the previous episodes. Everything from lenders, like how do you get your money right, and mistakes, things not to do when you're at the closing table and find out some surprises. We've had title, we've had home insurance, home warranty, and today we're really excited to have home inspections because this is really important. And Ray Hinsley is with us today with Texas Inspection Services. Thank you so much for coming. Please tell us a bit about you and tell us about your company.
Well, thank you, Wendy and Aaron, for having me. As I said, Texan Inspection Services has been in business for 24 years now.
Awesome.
I started the company in 2003. We've done over 40,000 inspections and really hope to be able to share some of that information with the buyers and clients out there.
That's a lot of inspections and a lot of years. And that's why we're here. We are going to be peppering you with questions, if you don't mind.
Sure, glad to.
Let's go. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to know, and people have asked me about, what qualifications do inspectors have, and are there levels, and can I have Uncle Joe, my friend, come and do an inspection for me here?
Well, that's a great question. I think that, to do inspections in the state, you have to be licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission, just like realtors and brokers. And there are different levels of licensure, whether there's apprentice, real estate inspector, professional inspector. Professional inspector is obviously the highest level, and that's something that I would recommend that people look for because they have the education and the hours and the experience to provide. We're selling information, so providing the best information comes from knowledge and experience. So
absolutely. And I think a lot of folks don't know that there are levels in this business, so I appreciate that. Why, our audience really for this, our buyers, why do we need a home inspection? They have saved all their money, they've got their appraisal money, they've got their down payment, their earnest. Why do we need a home inspection?
Well, a home purchase is probably your largest purchase or investment in most people's lifetime.
Yes.
And so you really want to make sure during that due diligence process that you're aware of what, no matter how proud you are of the decision and the house you pick, you want to make sure that you're not walking into something that has serious issues or repairs and that kind of thing. So it's really one of the important parts of the due diligence process for buyers.
Absolutely agree. We always give referrals and highly recommend. If, just so you know, as a buyer, if you say no to having a home inspection, you get to sign a piece of paper that said we said you should.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We definitely recommend it. So I know when we're helping our buyers and they're really excited about this house and this inspections coming. If you were to guide those buyers about like what are the most important things in that report, what are those things?
Well, it varies from area to area. We're in a warm climate here in Houston, but I call it the big three.
Okay.
Roof, foundation, HVAC, air
conditioning.
We need AC in Houston. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Those are the big three because, like you say, they're the most expensive potential repairs you might be facing. So we, and most people, those are the important things to them as well.
Makes
sense.
They
want information on.
Totally agree. We think about our roof like, how many storms do we get? How many hail storms do we get? Wind events. All of a sudden, your shingles are like 3 doors down.
Right.
What just happened? Right. What kind of soil do we have around here? Like, why foundation? What's going on in our area?
Well, Houston has a clay soil, and clay soil expands when it gets wet and it contracts when it gets dry. So everybody in July has walked out their house and wondered why that 2-inch crack is separated away from the foundation.
It's concerning.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that soil is contracting, and when it does, the foundation starts losing support, particularly at the corners.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's where we see it the most.
Right. So we have a lot of movement, and that's really why our area, it's a challenge to make sure your foundation is functioning.
That's important.
So how do you share the results with a buyer that doesn't scare them, but gives them what they need to know? What is the process with your inspection company for the buyer to understand what's going on?
Well, we do two things. First of all, we're required, and everybody uses the same written report. So no matter who the inspection company is, you're going to see the same format as promulgated by the Texas Real Estate Commission. So in a written form, you're going to get a written report within 24 hours. But in my opinion, the most important thing is, if at all, the client can be there, the buyer can be there and meet the inspector. And we don't expect them to be there 3 or 4 hours, but come toward the end of the inspection, where the inspector can walk the house with you, show you, has the flexibility to sort of explain, oh, we see this on 80% of the houses, it's not a big problem, or this is a health and safety issue that you want to protect your family from. And so being able to do the verbal walkthrough report and also the written report will make a lot more sense to you. And the client can ask questions that they have.
And they probably have a lot of questions, especially if they're first-time homeowners. They don't really know what to ask. But once they start listening and hearing, they want to know more about their electrical. They want to know more about, because now this is going to be, they're not renters anymore. They own it.
It's going to be a big problem.
So that second part, written and verbal, is how we report our findings.
Appreciate that. It's perfect.
Well, we, here in Texas, especially in the Houston area, we have a lot of new constructions. New homes are hot. A lot of our buyers love them because, again, it's a brand new home. There's incentives around that. So I think, someone might say, well, why do I need a third-party inspector? This is a new home. They have standards. I'm buying from this great builder. They're fantastic. Why would you still say no? I would still recommend a third-party inspector.
Well, that is a great question. We have that question come to us all the time. And first and foremost, a buyer needs to have representation for only their own interests. Builders do a lot of inspections, a lot of quality control inspections, but you have to remember that those people are being paid by the builder.
Everybody works for the builder. We've talked about this. The salesperson for the builder, the project manager, the builder, the title company, the builder, the lender, the builder, and everybody else, the builder, except for this and us.
Right.
So protection is one part that you're talking
representation
about. Representation
for only your interest, just like the realtor.
Right.
And so, having that inspector there, and certainly new construction, construction is not an exact science. And you've got all these subcontractors, roofers and framers and plumbers and electricians and all these different trades going in to put this home together. So there's a lot of moving parts, and it's not an exact science. So to have somebody there, and especially, we do a lot of new home construction, but also the fastest segment is phase inspections.
Tell us about that. How does that work? You're building it from the ground up. Why do I need your inspection?
Well, if you're early enough in the process where you've chosen a home and you're going to go through the building process, we have a 3-phase inspection, which we inspect the house before the pour. In other words, we're going out there and looking at all the prep before they pour the foundation. Moisture barriers are very important. Post-tension cables, all these things we're looking at before they pour that slab.
Absolutely.
And so that's the first phase. The second phase is what we call the rough-in inspection, which is the house has been framed, the plumbing and electrical have been roughed in, but there's no insulation in the walls. So we can really look at the skeleton of the home and be able to tell you, okay, the skeleton is put together well. And
you can see the electrical, the wires, the plumbing stuff sometimes is not correct.
Certainly. Like you say, it's not an exact science. And so that's, in my opinion, that's the most important phase. And then the final phase would be just like you would if you were, the home is finished and we're going in and testing all the mechanical and that kind of stuff. So, for, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of investment, you're spending $800 for 3 inspections. Is well worth it.
Such a good investment. And as Ray has said, this is the biggest investment of your life. Let's make sure that it is as good as possible. And for those new homes, a lot of times we give your inspection to the builder, to the project manager, and we make sure on your walkthroughs, your pre-walkthroughs, your final walkthroughs, that all of the big areas have been addressed.
Yeah.
I have seen roofs missing shingles, flashing sort of not there, oops.
Yeah.
And sometimes there was even a hole. And they're wondering, why are my bills so high?
Yeah.
My insulation, and that is just not working. So absolutely, we need that.
Yeah.
So with you, we've kind of gone through what the buyer side. Have you ever done pre-inspections for the seller? So now we're looking at putting a home on the market. Now, realtors, we've been to a lot of inspections too. We have some ideas, but we stay in our lane. We are not inspectors.
No.
Have you done pre-inspections, and why do you think that's important for a seller looking to sell their home?
Well, another great question, because we're getting those, as well as becoming more and more prevalent, that you have sellers doing a pre-sale inspection. Right. Not that you're ever going to make a house perfect, but at the same time, you get some information about, you know, the condition of the major things in the house, that you're not surprised as a seller that you're, you know, having to repair something large. It also gives the seller an advantage, in my opinion, on the marketing side, because they can say that this house has been pre-inspected. But, you know, as long as you're informed that there's not going to be, you know, the buyer is going to have their inspection. There might be some, because it's so subjective, inspections are so subjective, that, you know, what one inspector calls out might be okay with the other inspector. So, you know, as long as you're aware that, you know, just because you've done this and made some repairs doesn't mean that the buyer's inspector is not going to come in and find something that's not okay with
First
them.
of all, they're always going to find something. That's the job.
They're really good
but it does really help. I've done this a number of times with listings, especially if I'm concerned about the roof, or the big three you talked about earlier. We also, on our seller's disclosure, when we list a property, we disclose when we have, in the past 4 years, if we've had an inspection and we've done some due diligence. And I think it gives buyers more confidence, to be honest. And you can always put things in the pricing. If you get a brand new roof, that's going to increase value to your home. Sure. Maybe not exact amount of money, but very good value. And the buyer is a little bit more confident making an offer on that home. So that's another value of pre-inspection.
Sure.
Yeah. So we've talked about a few types of inspections. Are there anything else your company does to help?
Yes, there's other, what we would call add-on inspections.
Okay.
If the property has a pool or a spa,
makes sense.
we inspect those. You have to have certifications to do that. Sprinkler systems. If you're in a rural area, well and septic.
Makes sense.
Those are things that we do. We do use drones, because
great.
Most houses, we can't walk the roof. And you mentioned
I have seen some roofs. Oh my gosh, I can barely look at it, and without getting dizzy.
Yeah, with the 2-story houses and the slope of those roofs, there's no way to physically walk them. And in the old days, you used to stand on a ladder with a pair of binoculars and say, and you walk around the house.
Oh my gosh.
These days, we put a drone up in the air.
Nice.
We take high-resolution photos that we can zoom in on individual sheets.
So you see granules, basically, with the drone.
Wow. So that's great technology, and it makes it safer for the inspectors as well. But when you mention all the problems with roofs, it's because not a lot of people get up there.
We don't want to go. We want to just close our eyes. What about under the house, the pipes, and like how there's a lot of older neighborhoods that have a lot of roots, a lot of trees. Is there a service for that?
Right, certainly. Sewer scope is something that I would recommend, really, on
like pretty much every house, you think?
Older houses that are pre-1990, because they've been around long enough to have tree root intrusion, other types of blockages or bellies in the line. And that's another one of those high expense, potentially, repairs.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because of the excavation that's required to dig up and do all that. So we put a camera down the sewer line between the house and the main city connection, just to make sure that there's no blockages.
That's potentially thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
What about infrared? Are you guys looking at
something about infrared?
Like moisture stuff? How do you address that?
Well, we actually introduced infrared technology in 2004. So we've
been
using it for
over 20 years ago. You did that.
It was everybody went. You can see inside the walls. Oh my god!
Because inspectors aren't allowed to go behind the walls, are they? Like they can't rip it open.
Yeah.
So it's great technology. We felt like we've incorporated it as part of our inspections. We don't upcharge for it. It's just used on every inspection, because we can literally I call it an MRI for your house.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
okay.
that.
Cool.
So you can actually see inside.
It's
the
like the
walls.
bones. I can see the bones.
Exactly.
I love
for,
it.
for moisture, particularly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
especially-
camera can see. It's a thermal camera, so it can see
Wow.
moisture very easily. Missing insulation.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Or electrical issues. If you had a hot wire in the wall,
Oh yeah.
you can see that. We scan the panels and make sure there's no hot breakers in there that might indicate
That's awesome.
something.
That's really
So
cool. I didn't know that.
it's a great
Yeah.
tool for you.
Well, this kind of leads into my question because a lot of buyers want to know, okay, that sounds great, Ray, but what's coming out of my pocket?
Yeah.
How much am I paying you for all my millions of inspections to make sure I'm making a good investment? Do you have like what your parameters are and kind of a range, or how do you do that?
Sure. Our inspections start at $395.
Okay.
Let's say for under a 2,500 square foot house.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
So they're all most companies price by size of the home because
Right.
obviously you have more mechanical systems,
Yeah, bigger
you
house,
know,
more things
more
to inspect.
rooms, more space to
Yeah.
inspect, and then the age of the home affects the price
Okay.
as well. So it works up from there. Older houses, we're required to compare every house, no matter, let's say it's a 1950 house, we're required to compare it to today's building
standards.
standards.
That's
Yeah.
tough.
So, you know, those reports are much, much longer
Absolutely.
to do that. But the idea would be not that the seller is supposed to fix all that or update all that. It's for the buyer to have information on potentially
Mhm.
safety, health
Yeah.
and safety
Yes.
features that might be available today
That weren't.
that weren't in 1950.
Great.
So,
Great.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely. Makes sense.
and you mentioned walls and underneath houses. So this question is going to be just more for my morbid curiosity.
I'm
Is
morbid
that,
curiosity.
What's like, you know, the scariest / weirdest thing you've encountered while inspecting a home?
those are probably easy because it's critters.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I don't
Like
like
a big
critters
spider
or-
or spider nest or something. Yeah.
Oh, pier and beam houses built up.
Yeah.
We just love those because you're putting on a set of overalls and you're crawling under about a 3-foot space.
Oh no.
And you're looking
Jeez.
underneath there, and you can imagine
Oh,
things
no.
that would love to make that their house.
Is that hazard pay when you're in there? Oh my gosh.
What
Yeah.
have you seen under there?
Yeah, well, we're talking snakes, raccoons, possums, you know, whatever you might come face to face
Yeah.
with. That's always exciting. Or
Yeah.
you know, or in the attic, they love.
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
They
hanging
do
out
like
there.
the attics too.
So,
Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
Those kind of things. But probably the most unusual one was paper bags, grocery bags, paper
Mhm.
stored in a broiler pan.
Okay. What?
Oh
Okay.
my
How did
good-
you figure that out?
Well, we're required to, obviously they didn't cook much,
Okay. Yeah,
but,
fair.
but yes, we're
Yeah.
required to test the oven.
Yeah.
And
Of
so
course, you turn it on and off you go do something else.
Fortunately, there
Yeah.
weren't a lot of them in there because
Yeah, oh
you
my
know, they
gosh.
fired up pretty quickly and we had to put it out. But anyway,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
that was an experience
does
for
that?
sure. Yeah.
People don't cook. Yeah.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. Let's hear from Aaron. Aaron, give us a few nuggets on what you've heard on inspections and kind of how it would, help
Yeah.
the buyers.
One, it's critical. It's just
Yeah.
really, no matter where you are, whether you're getting a new home, an older home, that inspection is as a buyer, you have to have it.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Like, it's really important. Number two, it's probably not as scary as you think it's going to be.
Right.
Maybe it's scary for Ray, who's encountering spiders and raccoons. But for the most part, and you know what? If it's not the best news, it's still news you need to hear because you don't want to inherit a problem. That's the worst. You get a brand new home and then you got to spend $10,000
Well,
to fix it.
and I want to put
Yeah.
the minds at ease a little bit because we all work together
Yes.
cooperatively
Yeah.
to find solutions, especially safety hazards. Those need to be addressed by the seller.
Yes.
Like that's just a safety thing and codes have changed.
Mhm.
And with everything else, we can negotiate.
Yep.
Either we can negotiate to do the repairs prior to you moving in before you're closing, or it might be in concessions, and then you can hire your own contractor, do it your way, where the seller would help that way. So it really is a cooperative effort, and it's based off this inspection and the quality of that inspection to
Yeah.
help us. So I want to thank Ray so much for giving us your time. It's been so informative.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
It's a huge part of the
Hope
process.
you at home loved it. Let's do it. Coffee chat, real estate, real talk.
Subscribe.
Subscribe,
Yeah, yeah.
and we'll see you next time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
all.
Bye.